In September of 1990, Silicon Valley believed Oracle was dead. The company's stock had collapsed by 80% in a matter of weeks, wiping out billions of dollars in market value, while banks threatened to freeze their credit lines within 48 hours. The world saw a high-flying tech darling disintegrate overnight, but almost nobody understood the dark truth. Oracle had not been crushed by its competitors. It was being consumed alive by the very machine its founder had built. A hyper-aggressive, win-at-all-costs sales culture designed by a penniless college dropout who had spent his entire life running away from a childhood curse. How did a company that was only hours away from total bankruptcy survive, completely reinvent itself, and transform into a multi-hundred-billion-dollar empire that secretly powers almost every bank, airline, and hospital on Earth today? The answer begins not in the polished boardrooms of California, but in a cold, lower-middle-class walk-up apartment on the south side of Chicago. In 1944, a 9-month-old infant suffering from severe pneumonia was handed over by his unwed teenage mother to his aunt and uncle. His name was Larry Ellison. Growing up, Larry felt like an outsider in his own home. His adoptive father, Louis Ellison, was a rigid, austere city employee who carried a deep bitterness toward the world. Louis looked at young Larry's daydreaming, restless nature, and constant questioning of authority with open disdain. He looked Larry in the eyes and delivered a verdict that would echo for decades. You will never amount to anything. You have no discipline, you have no focus, and you will be a total failure. That statement did not crush Larry. It lit a violent, combustible fire inside him. It created a dangerous psychological obsession, an absolute refusal to be controlled, and a desperate, lifelong compulsion to prove the entire world wrong. Larry drifted. He enrolled at the University of Illinois and showed flashes of brilliant mathematical intuition, but when his adoptive mother passed away, he walked out before taking his final exams. He tried again at the University of Chicago, only to drop out after a single semester. By 1966, he was 21 years old, broke, with no degree, no clear profession, and no safety net. He packed his few belongings into a beaten-up car and drove straight toward California. In Northern California, the digital world was just starting to wake up. Larry began teaching himself computer programming at night. He bounced around odd technical jobs, working as a computer operator and programmer at Fireman's Fund, Amdahl Corporation, and a technology company called Ampex. He was not the romanticized office messenger of Silicon Valley myths, but he was undeniably an outsider. A sharp, cynical, self-taught coder trying to find leverage in an industry dominated by corporate elites. At Ampex, fate intervened. Larry crossed paths with two extraordinary software engineers, Bob Miner and Ed Oates. Miner was a brilliant, humble coding prodigy who could translate complex logic into elegant software, while Oates was methodical, steady, and deeply analytical. Larry was the missing spark, charismatic, ambitious, aggressive, and obsessed with finding a commercial breakthrough. Then, in the summer of 1976, Ed Oates handed Larry an obscure academic paper that would change the trajectory of global business. The paper, published by an IBM researcher named Edgar F. Codd, was titled A Relational Model of Data for Large Shared Data Banks. At that time, enterprise data storage was a nightmare. If a company stored its sales records and wanted to see which customers bought a specific product, programmers had to spend days writing custom, complex navigational code through rigid hierarchical databases. Codd proposed something revolutionary. What if data was organized in simple, two-dimensional tables of rows and columns, connected by common keys, and queried using simple, English-like commands called SQL? It was a masterclass in computer science. Yet inside IBM, corporate executives made a fatal mistake. They shelved the relational database. Why? Because IBM was already making billions selling its existing mainframe database software. Commercializing Codd's new invention would cannibalize their own cash cow. When Larry read the paper, his heart raced. He realized IBM had just handed the blueprint of the future to anyone bold enough to build it. In 1977, Larry Ellison, Bob Miner, and Ed Oates pooled $2,000, $1,200 of it coming from Larry's own savings, and founded software development laboratories in Santa Clara. They had no venture capital, no brand name, and no safety net. To keep the lights on, they took custom consulting contracts. Then came their first massive breakthrough, a classified project for the Central Intelligence Agency, codenamed Oracle. The CIA needed a system to manage intelligence files across different computers. Larry and his team built it, but Larry executed a brilliant strategic maneuver. Instead of delivering custom, one-off software, he retained the intellectual property to turn that government code into a commercial product for private enterprise. In 1979, they renamed the company Relational Software Incorporated and prepared to ship their first commercial database. Larry made an audacious decision. He named the product Oracle Version 2. There was no Version 1. Larry understood enterprise buyer psychology. Corporate procurement managers would never risk their careers buying a Version 1 from 3 unknown guys in California. Version 2 sounded tested, proven, and reliable. In reality, the software was deeply flawed. It crashed under heavy loads, it leaked memory, and it was missing essential features. Yet companies bought it instantly. Why? Because corporate data was exploding, and the relational database solved a problem so agonizing that customers were willing to endure the bugs just to get the speed. Larry's philosophy became clear. Sell the vision first, secure the client, bank the revenue, and let the engineers scramble to patch the code overnight. Bob Miner and the engineering team worked exhausting 18-hour shifts, fixing bugs as fast as Larry could sell licenses. Then, in 1983, Larry made the most important architectural gamble in software history. At the time, the software world was trapped in proprietary hardware silos. If you bought IBM software, it only ran on IBM hardware. If you bought Digital Equipment Corporation software, it only worked on DEC minicomputers. Larry saw that hardware would eventually become a commodity, while corporate data would last forever. He ordered the entire Oracle database engine to be completely rewritten in the C programming language. His engineers warned him it was risky and unproven. But when the rewrite was finished, Oracle became hardware agnostic. It could run on DEC VAX, Unix workstations, and IBM mainframes alike. The business economics shifted overnight. Corporate IT departments realized that by choosing Oracle, they were no longer held hostage by hardware manufacturers. They could switch hardware vendors whenever they wanted without losing their databases. Sales caught fire. Oracle's revenue doubled year after year throughout the 1980s, going from 1 million to 5 to 20 to 50 to hundreds of millions. On March 12, 1986, Oracle went public, one single day before Microsoft. Larry Ellison was suddenly worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The boy from the south side of Chicago had conquered Silicon Valley. Beneath the glittering surface, a lethal poison was spreading throughout the company. To feed this hypergrowth, Larry had built a predatory sales organization. Young sales representatives were given staggering quarterly quotas, massive bonuses, and ruthless ultimatums. Make your numbers, or you are fired. Desperate to hit their targets, salespeople began cutting corners. They booked multi-year contracts before the paperwork was legally finalized. They recorded future license sales as immediate revenue. They sold software to companies that had not even budgeted for it, promising generous return clauses off the books. On paper, Oracle looked like an unstoppable growth machine. In reality, the company was running out of actual cash. In 1990, the dam burst. An internal audit revealed the catastrophic truth. Oracle's reported numbers were inflated. The company was forced to restate its financial earnings, posting a devastating quarterly loss of $36 million. The stock went into freefall, crashing by 80%. Lawsuits piled up. The company's market value was obliterated, and the board of directors held emergency sessions to decide whether Larry should be ousted as CEO. Competitors like Sybase and Informix smelled blood, launching aggressive marketing campaigns to bury Oracle for good. Standing on the edge of complete ruin, Larry experienced a profound psychological reckoning. He could blame the salespeople, surrender to the board, or step down and walk away with whatever millions he had left. Instead, he chose to confront the beast he had created. Larry did not run. He took absolute responsibility and enacted an immediate, ruthless corporate overhaul. He fired 400 employees in a single sweep. He removed old guard executives and brought in seasoned corporate operators, appointing Raymond Lane as president to enforce ironclad financial discipline and clean up accounting standards. He completely restructured sales incentives. No representative would ever earn a commission on a signed contract until the customer's actual cash was deposited in the bank. Then, Larry turned his full attention back to where the journey had started, the software. He poured every dollar of available capital into pure, uncompromised engineering. He gave Bob Miner and the development team complete freedom to build a database that would not just be fast, but completely indestructible. In 1992, Oracle launched Oracle 7. It was an engineering triumph. Oracle 7 introduced groundbreaking row-level locking, automated recovery, and the ability to process tens of thousands of complex transactions simultaneously without crashing. While competitors had spent 2 years celebrating Oracle's financial crisis, Oracle delivered a product that was 10 times more advanced and reliable than anything else in existence. Global banks, airlines, telecommunications networks, and government agencies flooded back to Oracle. They did not return because they liked the aggressive sales pitch. They returned because no other database on Earth could handle the sheer volume of their business without breaking down. The 1990 crisis, which should have killed Oracle, instead transformed it into an industrial-grade corporate fortress. When the Internet explosion arrived in the mid-1990s, every new dot-com company, from Amazon to Yahoo, needed heavy-duty databases to handle online traffic and e-commerce payments. Because Oracle 7 was battle-tested and rock-solid, Oracle captured the vast majority of the Internet's database market. Larry then initiated the final phase of his empire building, the lock-in moat. He knew that once a Fortune 500 company embeds a relational database into its core infrastructure, replacing that database is nearly impossible. The cost, the complexity, and the operational risk of migrating data are so high that companies simply stay forever. Larry leveraged this massive pricing power. He began acquiring enterprise application companies, spending billions to buy PeopleSoft, Siebel Systems, and Sun Microsystems. By controlling both the database and the enterprise applications running on top of it, Oracle turned itself into an unbreakable toll booth at the center of modern capitalism. Every time a credit card is swiped, a plane ticket is booked, a package is shipped, or a prescription is filled, Oracle's software quietly processes the transaction in the background, generating billions of dollars in predictable, recurring cash flow. Today, Oracle stands as a multi-hundred-billion-dollar enterprise powerhouse, and Larry Ellison ranks among the wealthiest human beings in history. His journey reveals a fundamental truth about business and human nature. Success is rarely a straight line of unbroken victories.